This preview brought to you by Harness Racing Victoria.
Yeah, thanks very much, Hazy. We've got this terrific program on at Tabcorp Park, Melton tomorrow, as you said. So we're going to preview the full 10 race card now before the first to Casino. Hopefully we'll get through it all and find a few winners in the process. The Chris Howe Trotters Cup, of course, one of the features, along with the Gordon Rothicke Memorial Championship final featuring a couple of very good Emma Stewart runners. She's also well represented at Menangle tomorrow night. So we'll get stuck into it with the first race in the program, the SCW Eurodrive Pace. And I'm very, very keen on one to kick off the card here. In fact, it's my best bet on the program. Race 1, number 4, Bon Jovi. Absolute natural born leader, this bloke. He always thrives, excels when he's able to find the front in his races. The only little question mark for him here is probably Franco Jackson drawing the pole, a quick beginner, but I'm willing to take the punt that Kate Gath will be willing to hand over the lead to Bon Jovi. And I think if he finds the front, in probably what is one of the weaker MOs at Tabcorp Park, Melton in recent weeks, or in fact for quite some time, he should be able to lead all the way. So I'm going with number 4, Bon Jovi on top. Second, I'm going with number 8, Belisario. I think she's the best horse in the race, but she does have that awkward inside second line draw. What a fine fellow, a very talented sit sprinter. He'll need some favours in the run, but can peel off a very quick last 200 metres and will be dangerous if he gets the right card into things. And Paintball, who bounced back to form last start with Rocket Petrov in the card, back to David Moles this week. A tough customer and again very well placed in what is a relatively weak MO to kick off the card, but Bon Jovi very keen in the first race at Tabcorp Park, Melton. Moving on to the second race, the Tabcorp Park Melton Pace Final. Now I love these heat into final events. They're terrific, terrific spectacles and great punting propositions because we get to see all these horses go around in the heats and they come to Melton on Friday or Saturday night, in this case on a Saturday night. And we've got all the form exposed for us. This is a tricky race, though. It's a preferential barrier draw, so most of the class has drawn the second line. I'm going to go with number 10 here number 11 in Easy Lightning. Number 10, my second selection. Easy Lightning was a very good winner here, 3 starts back, beat some handy types in Suspicious Behaviour and Embraced, among others, leading all the way. We'll have to do things a bit differently on Saturday night, drawn the second line, but did make a mid-race move while the heat was still on in his heat of this race at Yarra Valley and kicked on very strongly. Ended up dead heating for second, as a matter of fact, behind Golden Grinder with Stuck in second, who's my second selection in the race. So I think definitely that was the form heat, by far the stronger of the heats for this race. 11 to beat 10. I think they can fight it out if they both make mid-race moves in transit. Frank the Duck's drawn the pole. He drew this gate in his heat, the Ace Alley, and was double-crossed at the start. Was crossed once and then twice and never had any luck from there. Probably wasn't over-impressive once he got out, but I think from the pole marking draw, if he can begin a little more quickly, he can feature in the action. And Golden Grinder, I mentioned earlier, won the heat that Easy Lightning stuck in second, and in fact, Frank the Duck were all involved in. Has the awkward draw inside the second line, but very, very good over 200 or 300 metres as well. So if the gaps open up late for Josh Duggan, expect Golden Grinder to also feature in the finish. All right, the third event in the program and the first leg of the Big Six at Melton tomorrow night is the Pride's Easy Feed Trotters Handicap. As we've mentioned the last couple of weeks, often race 3 at Tabcorp Park, Melton, the Metropolitan meeting is isolated for these very difficult trotting affairs, and this is going to be no easier. We had Monsieur Deville get up at odds last week in a similar affair last Saturday night. And here I'm going to go with Brief Glance. I think without any question at all, he is the class factor of the race. A Group 1 winner. So he defeated Elegant Image about 16 or 17 months ago in a Vic Bred Super Series final for 4-year-olds. So there's no doubting his class. And he gets in here off the 10 metres. So looks very well placed. Probably the only little question mark is he hasn't had he's had mixed success at the standing start. I think he's had the 3 wins from 13 or 14 goes at it. So if he doesn't blow the start, I think he's definitely the one to beat. Ran on very well behind My High Expectations, who goes around in the feature trot later on tomorrow night. So going with Brief Glance on top, number 10, clearly over number 7, Paparazzi Snapshot, who tried to work to the lead but just couldn't get there and then broke up when asked for a little bit more by David Murphy last start in the Snana Trotters Cup. I think if he stays in gate and trots all the way tomorrow night, he's a very good hope of featuring in the finish. Paparazzi Snapshot And my third and fourth selections in a very tricky race. 9 Bryland Crescent, a versatile customer, can make a mid-race move and go forward, or just come with one run at them. And number 1 Lysenko. The pole marking draw, the ACL, no spoil for him. He doesn't get away from the strands all that well, but if Chris Lang Jr. can extricate him off the inside pretty early on, I think he's also a big chance of featuring in the finish. A pretty talented customer on his day. Right, we'll head off to race 4 now. This is one of the feature events, one of the 2 features on the program, the pacing feature, the Gordon Rothacker Memorial Championship final. Of course, we'll have our newest Gordon Rothacker medalist inducted tomorrow night at Tabcorp Park, Melton. There are your fixed odds markets with TAB for the race. Metro Mike, flip of the coin, $2 favourite for the race. Timeless Error, who won his heat, so they're your 2 heat winners, Metro Mike and Timeless Error. Timeless Error coming in at $3.50. Good Time Jasper, a little disappointing last week, but looks like finding the front this time around, $4.50. And our Nancy Miles, who ran on, was probably the only one to make ground from back and wide in his heat of the series last Saturday night, and out to Big Z, who was an eye catcher as well. A very, very even race, the Gordon Rothacker Memorial Championship final, but I'm very, very keen on Metro Mike. Look, I think he's headed a lot further than most of his rivals, in fact all of his rivals here. I think he can make it all the way to open class. He probably wasn't unbelievably impressive winning his heat last week, but I honestly think he's a better horse from behind. He led on that occasion. He was able to bully his way to the front. But even from the poor draw here, as I say, I think he's better from behind, so he should be able to make a mid-race move, sit parked and outstay them, or come with one big run and out-sprint them. Easily the best horse in the race for mine, Metro Mike. I'm marking him on top. The stablemate Good Time Jasper, as mentioned, was a little disappointing last week. Was easily crossed by Salzmo at the start. It only battled to the line, did run second to Timeless Error. You probably would have expected a little bit more. I think he will definitely find the front this week. And once he does, he'll have the option of holding the top and trying to go for an all-the-way win, or probably handing up to the stablemate Metro Mike at some stage in transit. Timeless Error gets the pole marking draw, should get a nice run in behind Good Time Jasper if he can hold the leaders back, which he should. Was a good winner last week, and no reason why he can't feature in the finish again. And we mentioned Big C came with an enormous sprint over the last 200 metres. That's his go in life. He's a little one-dimensional, but if he gets the gaps late, he'll be at very good each-way odds, and is definitely worth including in your trifectas and first fours. Right, the 5th race in the program is an M1 only, and it's another terrifically open affair here. We've got plenty of horses coming from differing form lines here, so a little tricky to line them up, but I am going with Stylish Jasper. She's become one of my favourites in recent weeks. An absolute sit sprint specialist, an ambush artist, loves to sit well back, not spend a penny in transit, and then can come with a blistering 300-metre burst. The draw hasn't been kind to her. She's out wide on the second line in gate 11, but if she can get some gaps later, or maybe even hunt up along the inside and hope for some luck from there, then she can out-sprint these with the right run. I think there'll be plenty of speed in the race, which will really suit her. So going with number 11 on top at a reasonable each-way quote, I would have thought. Number 4 for second, Save Some Time to Dream, a boom horse. Pretty much since birth, this guy, he's been given huge raps by his trainer, Paul Rouse, who's always suggested he's going to be even better than Decorated Jasper, who achieved a lot during his career. So you have to keep him safe. Did trial very well behind Blue Collar Tiger Pie at Ballarat. So looks in for a big campaign. We know he's probably got Group 1 potential at his best, so you can't leave him out of anything tomorrow night. Pacific Soul was great last week, running home for 3rd, and we'll get a soft peg line trip. Make sure you include her in your thoughts for trifectas and first fours at maybe double figure odds. And Alchemy, he did all the work last week, played Enforcer and only knocked up very, very late. He's having a good campaign so far. You probably have to make a mid-race move and do things tough again, but also well worth including in trifectas and first fours. Race 6 is your second big feature on the program. It's the Group 3 Glenferrie Farm Chris Howe Trotters Cup, and I think it's the best square gating feature in Victoria so far this season. There's your fixed odds market. My high expectations. I think the punters and the bookies are thinking that he'll find the front in transit. He's flip of the coin, much like Metro Mike earlier in the card. Mr. Zion, the Kilmore Trotting Cup winner, the Group 1 winning pacer turned Group 1 winning trotter, 350, and Kai Valley Blur at 440. And then out to Cold Sister at $5 and double figures the rest. I'm going with Kai Valley Blur. I'm not 100% sure that scenario that many punters think will happen, where Cold Sister will lead and then hand up to the stablemate. My high expectations is a laissez-faire. I'm not sure that's a certainty to happen, and I think Kai Valley Blur is the quickest horse in the race. So if he gets some sort of card into things late, I think he can overwhelm them over the last 200 metres. I'm going for him just on top of my high expectations. Got a huge amount of respect for this guy. He's headed all the way to the top, no doubt about it, and proved he'd come back in great form, winning last week at Tabcorp Park, Melton. Mr Zion probably better suited to stand, start, staying affairs, as he showed at Kilmore last start, but a terrific campaigner, and no reason if he pours the pressure on mid-race that he can't feature in the finish as well. And Cold Sister, certainly her best option will be to try and get the front early, then hand up to the stablemate. She's probably not quite as classy as the top 2 or 3, but she has got a nice finishing sprint as well, so make sure you include her in all your considerations and your quaddies. All right, moving on now to race 7, the Neville Welsh Pace, of course, honouring the winner of the Gordon Rothacker medal last year, Neville Welsh. This is another open affair, but I've got a clear on-top selection again here, and it is number 6, American Muscle. Just been waiting very, very patiently for this bloke to get a front-line draw. He's a blistering beginner. I'd say he's one of the 5 or 6 fastest horses off the arm in Victoria. He's been racing very, very well. Ran 3rd in the Legends last start and was terrific in the Maryborough Pacing Cup prior to that. I think he'll be finding the front within 50 or 60 metres of the lead tomorrow night, and once he does, it's going to take a massive performance to see him get rolled. So clear on-top selection, leads and wins number 6, American Muscle. Then for your placings, you're looking wide on the front, wide on the second line, I should say, in the preferential event. Number 13, Wartime Sweetheart, was 2nd in the Legends and has been outstanding all preparation. One of Victoria's most improved paces over the past 2 seasons. Make sure you include him. He'll need a little bit of luck in transit, but has a great finishing burst. I'm Causing Terror was terrific, winning the Maryborough Pacing Cup. First up from a break for Dean Braun. Isn't he having a wonderful season? Probably better known as a front of the field horse, so he'll need to make a move somewhere in the middle stages, but should be parked up outside American Muscle, I would have thought, at some point, and will keep that horse honest. And the Phantom, who's also a blistering beginner, he'll be going forward and probably lobbing the 1-1 or 1-2 in transit, so also a big chance of running into the placings in that 7th event, the last leg of the quaddie. Race 8, the Junction Hotel Claiming Pace. I'm very keen on one here too, so I'm keen on quite a few, it would seem. Wash Me Pockets is the one that I'll be putting my money on in this race. At number 7, I think the conditions are ideally suited to him here. Preferential draw, wide on the front line, should progress forward, take the mid-race lead at some point, and then he can just roll along from there, and that's when he always runs his best races. So I'm tipping him a clear on-top selection, and he'll be at reasonable odds. Number 3, Cowboy Cadillac, hasn't been performing in this quality of claimer, but he does have the ability and does get the draw, so make sure you include him in the placings, along with Braveheart Stride, who also draws awkwardly, but if he can get off the pegs, he'll be running into things as well. And Give It a Name, who's done a terrific job for Ben Yole in Victoria so far. Last 2 races, we're going to go with race 9 now, the Carbine Chemicals Trot Final. Number 13 on top, Maidstone Miss, to beat number 4, Basil Knight. Both of them were heat winners for this series, and both were impressive doing so. Kai Valley Rancher was also good, coming 2nd to Maidstone Miss in his heat, and Stunning Jasper, also worth including in your multiple selections. And then quickly moving on to the final event on the program, the Alabar 4-year-old Pace. I'm going with an absolute rising superstar here. He'll be extremely short odds, but if you're in trouble at the end of the night, he should be winning number 4, Chili Palmer. And if you're looking for ones to run in behind him, number 5, probably your best option there, Nimble Jack. Jacker Beams is a horse who's very green at this stage of his career, very early in his career, but has plenty of ability, and Our Summer Win put in a career best performance last start, and is also worth including for 2nd and 3rd in your trifectas to finish off the card at Tabcorp Park, Melton. My best bet on the program tomorrow night is Bon Jovi. We spoke about him. He'll kick off the card on a bright note for us, I hope. Race 1, number 5. He's a dead set leader, as I mentioned. If he finds the front, he should be winning. And race 8, number 7, Wash Me Pockets, my best value bet. Hopefully he finds the mid-race lead and they don't catch him from there. And playing a pretty skinny quaddie for such an open event here, or such an open program at Tabcorp Park, Melton. Just isolating Metro Mike in the first leg of the quaddie, number 11. 4, 9, 10 and 11 in the second leg of the quad. Play 2, 3, 5 and 9 third leg, and then finish off just with number 6, American Muscle. Very keen there. $80 will get you 500%. Hopefully we found a winner. It's going to be a terrific card tomorrow night at Tabcorp Park, Melton.
This preview brought to you by Harness Racing Victoria.